an adjective. Now I will give the floor to Ingegnere Pier Francesco Rimbotti, is the President of Infrastrutture S.p.A. and his firm has been working in Japan for a few years. Please.
Thank you very much, Professor, for giving me the word, and thank you for your attention. It's a bit dwarfing to speak after such interesting speeches and from people who have such a senior and long-term experience of Japan. The company I represent has been active in power and in energy since about 50 years. And we have been pioneers in renewable energy over the past 20 years in Italy and abroad. So we've been active in Japan only since 2 years. So, you know, it's really dwarfing to speak after such intervention. But I think there are a couple points which may make my experience interesting also for economists, etc. Because after all, renewable energy is dramatically different from what Japan has been experiencing for a long time. Renewable energy is about $500 billion investment yearly and has become now bigger than oil or coal or nuclear. So the reason we went to Japan was that after the great Fukushima disaster, it was fairly clear that the government was going to grow in renewable energy in a very big way. And actually that was before Prime Minister Abe got the helm of the government. So when Prime Minister Abe became Prime Minister, we were a bit concerned. But of course, we found great stability in the government, and nothing really that was said by the previous Prime Minister was changed in any dramatic way. Other reasons why we went to Japan, it was fairly obvious from an Italian point of view. Remember, Italy has a long standing experience in renewable energy, that Japan was an island and was surrounded by countries which were actually not necessarily friendly or not necessarily friendly in any and all way. There were major apparent contrasts also from entrepreneurs' point of view. Obviously China, Korea, Russia, all to do with energy. So this, I would like to say, is all the more interesting because other factors which really brought us to decide to go to Japan had to do with the complementarity between Japanese culture and way of doing business and Italian culture and way of doing business, which are dramatically different in many ways, but which can bring to tremendous synergy if put together to harness. So what did we find in 2 years' work? Well, we really found a very different scenario from what has been experienced worldwide in renewable energy. For example, most countries which have grown in renewable energy have seen this as a very international effort. Not so in Japan. Many of the companies which came from outside and went to invest in Japan were actually found enormous difficulties, and many of them, surprisingly enough, even in a booming sector like renewable energy, decided to go back home. And I'm talking about large companies, 4, 5, 6 billion revenues, which after 2-3 years effort have decided to go back home. Of course, what many companies that went to Japan found was this tremendous cultural divide, which can be seen in 2 ways. In one way is a divide, in another way is obviously it's the extreme wealth. So bringing these things together, it can be extremely important for the companies that make it. So what I would like to put as a comment to many of my more academic and more in-depth analysis of what has happened is if really in Japan we can have and see the position which Prime Minister Abe is hoping without a real integration also of culture, of diversities. So we heard in the previous panel that Japan wants to become a very international force in those countries. Well, fine, but that has to go both ways. So it has to go from Japan abroad and from abroad in Japan. If not, it will not be perceived to do so. And similarly, in economics terms, I think that Japan not only, from foreign intervention, Japan is to gain a lot in terms of opening up its management to foreign diversity. Without this openness, also Japan's effort abroad will be less successful because, let's face it, Japanese management in foreign countries do face difficulty in communication, etc., etc. So I would like to add that this is a tremendous challenge, the one of renewable energy, and it can be brought successfully. Maybe, we would like to see that it is recognized by governments both in Japan and outside as a major test to grow the vitality of the economics of both Japan and countries investing in Japan. Thank you.